Hello, dear friends. Welcome back. I'm Carly. This is Owning Authenticity. And in this video, first things first, we have to give Lisa a shout out for the quality of the questions that have been left in the comments of these last few videos that have been like little activation bombs inside of me. I mean that with all the love in the world, Lisa. It's been fantastic and is basically the reason for what we're going to talk about today and how it's going to come out and the collection of things that are going to come out. There was the question that I'm showing you here on the screen. That was the first one, and we'll call it like the main one because I've been thinking about it for just a little bit longer. But then Lisa also left a second question, put that on the screen here for just a second. And that one took the first question and just kind of took it to another level for me as far as, getting clear on how these kinds of transitions happen and what do I mean by these kinds of transitions, but big ones. You know how they say, like, we can't take a quantum leap? I kind of agree with that, but there are step-by-step changes that we can make, and we can empower ourselves a little bit more, such that to the point where we are so large ourselves that when we take one step, it might end up looking on the outside like a quantum leap. So do not let the idea of incremental change fool you as far as how totally your reality can be reprogrammed. Okay, and that is truly the benefit of the Mermaid portal, is that deep change can happen. And I love Lisa's question as far as how does deep change happen? And I'm like, that's such a great question, you know? I feel like I have personally felt my way to this understanding that I am working to communicate, playing with communicating, all of the above, that I believe in communicating because of the radical transformation that it lets me have in my life. I know that anybody could practice their beliefs to the point where you literally grow wings and you fly to a new reality. You have a completely different experience of the same exact world, right? Like, it's all happening inside of ourselves, inside of our perception of it. And that is why Lisa's question is the perfect one as far as, okay, so I'm bought in. I get that my perspective is what is coloring the world, but how do I change it? How do I change my deep subconscious beliefs? And it took me a while to really, a few days, like that's pretty good. I mean, I think maybe, I have what I have right now, and I guarantee you, if you give me another week, I'll have a lot more. So probably more to come on this whole topic of the Mermaid portal. I don't feel an end in sight, just so you know, as far as like my content being this for a while, just a heads up in case you care. But her question really led me to this understanding that, first and foremost, have you ever heard the saying, awareness is 90%, awareness is 95% of change? And have you ever really thought about what does that mean? And the answer, I think, this is how I piece it all together, is that, like Lisa's question, deep subconscious change, how do we make that happen? You don't. You really can't change something that is in your subconscious. Like, that's, other than maybe in sleep work, and that's a gift that some people have where they have a natural ability to heal in their sleep. I think for basically all of us, though, healing happens during sleep. And that's one of the reasons that sleep is so important. It's regenerative. And so making sure that you're getting a lot of sleep, especially if you're wanting deep subconscious change, sleep is probably the best place to accomplish that mission while leaving the shit unconscious. okay? Because you cannot consciously change something that you're unconscious of. You don't know what you don't know, kind of vibe, you know? So, you know what you don't know, you know? There we go. Okay. We're really shifting into second gear here. So at that point, you can't change it if it's subconscious. So what does that mean? That means you have to become aware of what it is that you want to change, of what it is that is limiting you. You need to, it can't stay a subconscious belief. It needs to become a conscious belief, a belief that you are conscious of, that you are aware of. And at that point, awareness is 95% of change. So becoming aware of your deeply held limiting beliefs, that is truly the main work of, like, whether you're still in the old situation that you do not like, or you've left it behind and you're in the middle of not that anymore, not this yet. I'm trying to clean the slate. I'm trying to reset my perspective so that I can see the world more accurately. I can see myself more accurately, right? Like the gunk on my lens is why I was living my old situation in the first place. It's why I didn't see it for what it was until I did the work to make my subconscious shit conscious so that I could actually see what the hell I was dealing with here. That's the beauty of Scorpio energy, by the way, is that it's willing to look at whatever it is. And so that's probably why all of this that I've recorded really so far of these Mermaid Portal episodes have come while the sun has been in Scorpio, and it started a couple days after Saturn stationed direct at 0 degrees of Pisces, also a water sign, about transcendence. And it's like, that is how the water family works. It's like, you can't heal it if you can't feel it. That's Cancer. That's number one. Like, you need to feel what it is. And then number two is Scorpio's ability to look at whatever it is that the human is experiencing, including yourself, and analyze it, understand it, strategize around it. Like, what does it mean to you? What is the depth of this? How am I going to make decisions for my most precious resources, given the level of insight and information that I have about what's going on here, based on my ability to look at it and see what is going on here? So become conscious. Become conscious. That's really what Scorpio is saying, is like, let it out and then look at it. That's all we're doing in water energy so far. And then what happens? We go to Pisces energy and we friggin' transcend it, because 95% of the work is just becoming aware. Okay? And so that, I feel like, is a pretty good job of like painting that picture of, truly, we don't typically heal deeply subconscious things. We will only really be able to heal something when we are able to bring it up and out and into the light of day. And so that's where, how do you do that? How do you become aware of things? How do you let deep, dark, painful, right? That's why it's in the deep dark, is because it hurt you the first time and you shoved it in there and said, I'll handle that later when I'm capable. And, maybe now is later. Maybe you're ready for the limits that you've been bumping up against in your old reality. It's like, I recognize that I'm the common denominator. I recognize that this limit follows me around. It seems like it doesn't matter if I change jobs, if I change partners, it's always just right there. Like, I think this is mine. I think this limit is mine. And so that's step number one, is recognizing kind of you're the common denominator, and where are you being limited? What is the limit holding you back from? Right? Where is the limit keeping you small? And what is the bigger that you want to have? And so this is the work of becoming conscious of, what is the limiting belief? What do you believe about yourself that is keeping you small? And that is typically painful. It's going to link back to social rejection experiences that we've had, or worse, physical trauma, or all kinds of ways where, when we are experiencing pain, our body's first instinct is to kind of give us some relief, as far as we go into shock, right? When we get hit with a big impact on our nervous system, whether that's an emotional one, a physical one, I think it was a Mike Tyson quote, maybe. I forget who they gave credit to, but it's like everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the face. Okay? And life will punch you in the face, like a lot of times. And again, maybe not physically, but emotionally speaking. Like I've gotten punched in the face like repeatedly in my lifetime. And so basically what that means is like I feel like my life was really, really, really painful. And I learned how to see through pain. I learned how to understand what pain actually is because I couldn't get away from it. And even that is like, I think we're starting to see, even in this real time moment, a little bit of my own limiting beliefs that my life has been painful and life will punch you in the face. These are things that I personally have lived the life and have the belief because I have the experience that says that that's what happens. And, you know, right or wrong, that's not really the point. Right? Like you don't even necessarily have to change your belief to change how you let that belief influence your decisions. Right? So like as we bring the belief up and out of the darkness and we see what it is that we truly believe about ourselves, it's kind of like a flow chart of like step number 1 is get it up into the light. But step number 2, we don't know yet what we're going to do with it once we have it in the light. Maybe we decide that we need to change that belief. We want to believe something different, and that is a course of action all its own. And maybe we kind of stand by that belief that we've been maybe a little bit in denial of, and we want to own it more proudly. We want to integrate it more centrally into our being, and we want to live from that belief. We want more fully. We want to claim it. We want to own it. Like there are subconscious beliefs that are present and yet stirring up more anxiety as the influence rather than excitement as the influence. And let me give you an example of like, I just know that like I have a super big purpose and mission on this planet. I have a role to play as far as the evolution of the collective consciousness. And I've known that for maybe my whole life to some degree, right? Like there has been a very long unfolding of letting that belief become conscious because it scared the living shit out of me to think about being seen to that degree. I associated deep down in my subconscious being seen with pain. Like after you've been through a bout of bullying, you associate having people pay attention to you with like extreme emotional pain and the depth of self-hatred that can come out of being the focus of constant negative attention. Like when you will be socially rejected over and over and over and over again, you learn that you are bad and that you are not supposed to be here and that your mere presence in this world is something that is upsetting and offensive to people. Like these are connections that I had tied in my deep subconscious based on the painful experiences of my early life. So when it comes to unearthing a deep subconscious belief and knowing that like I have a big life, I have a big role to play here, that used to really scare the shit out of me. And so as I let that belief become more and more and more conscious, that process was about facing those fears. Like what about it is scary? What specifically is scary? What specifically are you picturing? And working through those fears. And like, what does that mean? Here's again, to continue that same example, it's like when I face those fears around being seen, right? Like I'm worried that people are going to say mean things to me. I'm worried that the entire world is going to turn against me and hate me for my ideas that I express. These were the thoughts. I mean, like literally the whole world is against me. Like, I mean, you can blow it up to whatever degree. Like I'm going to ruin the earth. I'm going to cause like irreparable damage and it'll all be my fault. Like these are my stories. These are kind of like as far as I could see down into the depths of like, this is what's true for me, is like, I don't want to cause damage. I don't want to cause harm. And so like how that results then, as far as like, how does that influence my behavior? I keep myself hidden. And even when I put myself out there, deep, deep, deep down, I'm secretly hoping nobody ever sees that. Like there was so much of that early on in my YouTube and podcasting, like experience of, I would have these massive vulnerability hangovers where I would let myself put myself out there because I know I have a big mission on this planet. I have a big role to play and I have a lot that I need to communicate. Like that's just part of how I'm wired. And so knowing that, I put myself out there, and then in the aftermath of that experience is a massive vulnerability hangover that says they're all gonna laugh at you. Have you ever heard that Adam Sandler song? It's like, they're all gonna laugh at you. Don't go there. They're all gonna laugh at you. Like this, I mean, I lived that, as far as like, people are mean when they decide they don't like you. People are mean. Again, we're seeing into my own deeply held subconscious beliefs, like where they're so natural and normal, it's like we don't even really think about them, as far as like, other people don't believe those things. Like, people are mean, I don't even really believe that in my consciousness. That's why saying things out loud will let your subconscious have its voice. Like, you just let your thinking mind get out of the way and just talk out loud. And that's why a coaching relationship can be so effective, is that it's a date with yourself to let yourself talk out loud. And yes, you're talking to the coach, and yes, they're going to have reflections for you. Hopefully reflections, hopefully not advice, to let you see, what do you make of what's going on in your subconscious? Because we've seen me a couple of times here already bring something up out of my subconscious and my conscious mind go, I don't agree with that. The leading edge of all of me doesn't agree that people are mean, right? That's one option. I know that that's one option. And so at that point, here we've come to a place of healing where I can truly look inside myself at my little girl Carly's self, her little 12-year-old, getting bullied, crying every night, begging her mom to let her change schools. Nope, you're gonna tough it out. It's not that bad. Let it roll off you. Like, she fucking suffered, okay? And we don't have to change our beliefs. I don't have to stop believing that people are mean. But what I absolutely have to do is validate the part of myself that was impacted and influenced into believing that. Because she has a point. She has a point. She's got a fucking point. So do I want to let people are mean shape my reality? No, because then I wouldn't be able to be here doing what I'm doing right now, where I open my chest cavity and I put my heart on display for the benefit of the all. For my own benefit. I'm part of the all. I don't know if you know that, but so are you, and you, and you, and you, and you, the billions of individuals that make up the all, the billions of individuals who haven't even been born yet, that make up the all. Like, it is about me, and it's not about me at all, right? It's not about the messenger, it's about the message. And so people are mean, they can be. She's got a point. And so I don't have to try to even change that belief, to just integrate it. There is a part of me that believes people are mean, and I've got the fucking receipts to back it up, okay? But, right, we're making all of this more conscious. We're bringing it into the light of the day so that we can, for ourselves, see, what do we believe? What do we want? What do we want to shine our light on? And I refuse to let people are mean be the end of my story, be the end of my beliefs. And so it's not that I have to change that belief, it's that I need to validate the part of myself and hold her, the part of myself that went through the life experience that yielded that conclusion. Like, she fucking like persevered. She had nobody having her back, and she made it through anyway. Almost didn't, but she did. Like, I don't know if I've ever I don't. I think the toughest I've ever been was at 12 years old, living through 7th grade. I think that was like the most strength I've ever exhibited in my life, was surviving that. Because sometimes people are mean. People say things and they think that they're just words. Words are fucking daggers, okay? And I've had to learn that lesson by getting cut over and over and over. But you know what? I showed up at the knife fight. I went. I used my words. I launched my daggers. And I got cut to shreds in return on multiple occasions, okay? So I'm not innocent per se. Nobody should have to live through what I lived through. But all it was a magnification of my own behavior, you know? So like, yes, people are mean, and sometimes I can be mean. I don't like that about myself, but it's true. Sometimes I can be. I'm seeing images of why I was doing that. I wanted the approval of my friends. I was putting down somebody else so that I would look cool to the people that I was friends with. They were talking all big, and I rose to the hype of what other people were saying, and I acted out of that. And the backlash that came taught me, like, don't fucking do that. You know, like, your words are weapons and they hurt people. And so, yes, people can be mean sometimes, but I am mean sometimes. And I'm seeing, like, you know, the me of 12 years old, and like, she wanted the approval of her friends because she did not have her own approval. She was very unsure of herself. She felt invisible, mostly, and she ached. This is like hilariously ironic, and this is again why letting yourself talk and having no reason or purpose or like agenda for what you're trying to say like is so therapeutic and free, by the way. Like, you don't have to pay somebody else to listen to you for you to listen to you. You know, like, I'm listening to myself, like, as I'm even saying it out loud. And like, that's what's able to like let the awareness seep in to, I can say people are mean and mean it. I believe that. And I can hear myself say it and have some awareness somewhere that says that's not the full truth. You know, like, yes, it is part of the truth. No, it's not the full truth. So like, bringing things out into the light of the day, bringing them out into consciousness, becoming aware is 95% of the work that we're trying to do. So, circling back on the question of how do we get our deeply held subconscious patterns to change? Number one, we make them conscious. That is so much of the work, is processing through and validating our own experience around what even happened that we ended up with that subconscious pattern in the first place. So that is truly a look into the healing of why making it conscious is 95% of it, because it's not nothing. To look at those things, it's a deeply emotional process. There's probably some tears that need to be shed. There's probably some hugs that need to be put on yourself. You know, like, your inner child is needing love from you in that situation, whatever the subconscious pattern is, that either we feel like it's limiting us, or it's so huge that we are intentionally limiting ourselves because of the thing that we know it, but we don't want it. It doesn't feel safe in our body. And that's ultimately like a big piece of the how-to, as far as cultivating safety within ourselves, is truly an art form, and it's called self-care. You know, like, having your own back, showing up for yourself, doing things that aren't for anybody else but yourself. Like, I think of like a beautiful example of self-care. I got given a bottle of peppermint oil like I'm going to say 6 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. And I've barely used half of it. But every once in a while, especially when I'm really trying to slow myself down and like really deepen into my self-care and my self-focus, like getting centered inside myself, one thing that I'll do is take that and just take one little half a vial full and put it on the wall of my shower, so that as I take the shower, like the steam from the shower, like it's kind of like a diffuser basically, and it like makes the shower smell like peppermint. And then I'm just more grounded because there's something to smell. There's another physical anchor to help me stay present in the right here, right now moment. And I got given that peppermint oil. It was a birthday gift. And that was 5 years ago. And me putting peppermint on the wall of my shower doesn't do jack shit for anybody anywhere at all, except for me being more present and more enjoying the luxury of the moment I'm in. That is the sole benefit of taking the 30 extra seconds to put the peppermint on the wall of the shower. I spend that time to give myself a depth of quality to the moment that I'm giving myself. I'm granting myself access to that level of enjoyment. And so when we are taking really, really good care of ourselves, we are showing up for ourselves in ways that say, I see you. And you matter. You deserve to have a luxurious experience everywhere you go all day long. And I'm going to treat you like that. Like another example that's totally free is, how fast do you walk when you're going somewhere? How fast are you walking? Because there is a pace at which your body will satiate in like the pleasure that it is to move your body. And then there's like the speed walking that I used to do, where like everywhere I went, I'm on a fucking mission. I drive fast, I walk fast, like get out of my way. And it's like, why would you rush pleasure? Why would you do that? And so how fast do you walk? Are you walking for pleasure? Or are you like almost resentfully forcing your body to hurry up and get over there because I need to be over there, and you're like mush mush and like slave driver on your own body, you know? Like, how fast do you walk? This is self-care. This is true self-care. Like, how much water do you drink in a day? How often are you willing to get up and go to the bathroom? You know, emptying your bladder and existing without a full bursting bladder is a luxury that most people skip right over. Most people, what the fuck do I know about what's going on in most people's bladder? But I know I personally have struggled with like, I don't have time for that. So like I would even cut back on fluids so that I wouldn't have to go to the bathroom as often, because I have so much work to do that I have to be focused right here, that like I'll go to the bathroom at lunch, so I better not drink anything the rest of the morning. You know, like, I mean, and that's not anybody doing it to me. You know, like there's definitely places out there, environments out there where they're doing it to them, and that's heinous beyond belief. But I'm doing it to myself. That's one of those limits that was like fucking following me around. It's like everywhere you go. I had a story about how like the culture at my job really burned me out, that like the culture was just terrible. This was my belief. I fully held it. I was conscious. I believed it. I'll stand by it. And then I became an entrepreneur. I became self-employed. I'm my own boss, and I burned myself out worse than ever. Worse than ever was in the culture that I made for myself. So that burst that bubble right there, as far as like, it's nobody else doing it to me. It's me doing it to me. It's me putting my body in a constant state of, I don't have time for you, a constant state of neglect and rejection, as far as like, I'm not even going to give you what you need because I don't have time to take you to the bathroom. Like, I've lived that before, and that was pretty much the height of my depression, of my anxiety, of just feeling so unstable in the world in so many different ways. And now I look through that lens of self-care, as far as like, it truly is how you treat yourself. That's all. So like, that doesn't have to be like buying anything. Like, it's literally, how fast do you walk? How fast do you drive? How careful are you when you drive? Do you drive like you have someone precious in the car, because I spent a lot of my time, like the first probably 15 plus years of my driving career, driving like it don't matter if I flip my car. It don't matter if I sail off this embankment and land in a pond. Those things happened. It don't matter. I'm good. I'm good to go. And now I couldn't imagine doing that. Not because it's like against the law, not because it's damaging to my property, but I couldn't imagine putting myself at risk like that. Like, I am precious cargo. I matter a lot in my own mind, right? Like in my own definition, in my own estimation, I matter a lot. And so you better believe, no, I drive carefully because it is a self-protective act on my part. So self-care extends, I think, once it gets really strong, into a natural evolution of like really strengthening your self-protective instincts. I think it's like a natural continuation. Anyways, we've gotten off on this tangent because how do you get things to come up out of your subconscious? It takes a high degree of safety. It takes a high degree of relaxation. You know, you really do have to like unclench and unclench for a sustained amount of time, and big things will work themselves up out of your subconscious layer by layer by layer by layer. Like I had one in May of 2023 where I told my friend at the time, it feels like I'm giving birth to a Buick. I mean that with like the full-on mental image that conjures for me. That's what I mean. I feel like this thing that's coming up out of my subconscious, it's like 5, 6, 7 times the size of me. And later I understood there's a lot of generational trauma baked in with that particular healing, that pattern, like it wasn't really even anything to do with me. It was some shit that my parents said to me when I was little. And the only reason they knew how to say that was because of what their parents said to them when they were little. And the only reason their parents knew how to say that was because of what their parents said to them when they were little. And I went back and 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 back. It wasn't mine. It was so much bigger. Like when you start wanting things to come up out of your subconscious, like prepare to engage in generational healing. Like this is where we've gotten into the part of the conversation where you're healing for you, yes, but your healing is truly collective healing. Your healing is truly breaking generational patterns, and it stops with you. And how does that happen? It happens because you let it become conscious. You gave birth to the Buick. Well fucking done. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, seriously, like anybody who is willing to unclench and unclench for long enough, like, which is to say, just relax. Relax, relax, relax. Let yourself be safe with yourself. Right? Like every time our mind attacks us, we clench back up. And so to let yourself relax, to let yourself unclench, means we have to stop attacking ourselves. Like the inner bully inside our own mind, which again is to say kind of our own self-limiting beliefs. And so this all connects as far as how do we change things that are deeply held in our subconscious, where those roots go millions of miles deep. They go beyond our life. They go back up the chain of like the thousands of people that had to exist so you could exist. We inherit all of that. And then our story forms around it. And so, yes, the specifics are unique to us, but the patterns and the things that are truly what want to come up and out of our subconscious, it's not just our healing. It truly is the collective's healing. And so this is why you doing your work and you paying attention to what is inside of you and you bringing into the conscious light of day what is inside of you, it is not just about you at all. At all. It's about all of us, and our willingness to do this, our collective willingness to be emotionally honest with ourselves, that is the revolution that I am part of and that I know you are part of, or you wouldn't be still watching this video right now. You're an emotional warrior. You're a spiritual warrior. That's obviously the ground we're standing on here, as far as like you cry it out. You face your inner most painful hurts for the breath of relief that it puts into the collective soul. You know, you heal your part and you take satisfaction in knowing that your part sends healing ripples back through time and opens up this amazing amount of infinite space for future generations, because this pattern no longer exists in the world. So you just see infinite possibilities expanding in either direction. You are a chain breaker when you will let the unconscious become conscious. It's painful to look at. That's the only thing. If you can be in a little bit of emotional pain, if you can let the situation ride, pain always ends. Pain is temporary. It never lasts forever. It will always end. Every single storm ends. Pain is a rebalancer. It's just information. And it's slightly pushing us off center. And the degree of the pain will be the degree to which you get pushed off center. And the thing about it is, sometimes that center that you got pushed off of wasn't all that great to begin with, you know? So yeah, letting shit come up out of your subconscious, it hurts. It'll make you cry. It'll break your heart. You'll have heartbroken feeling in all of your energy chakras. Like, these are things that I'm reporting from my own personal experience. And the pain will end. You will take a nap. You'll eat a grilled cheese, and you will have more open space inside of you. The collective soul has more open space inside of it for the potential to unfold of what is possible through this eternal evolution of what even are we doing here? You know, what even are we doing here? What is the point of this? Of life. I mean that. Like, how often do you guys think about it? Because I think about it a lot, and I think the more pain you're in, you really think about, like, why the fuck am I putting up with this? Like, why am I doing this? And so, I mean, I feel like I've developed a really clear relationship with pain and why I endure through pain, and all of that really connects to this, as far as like letting things come up out of your subconscious is inherently about being able to tolerate pain to a greater and greater and greater degree. Because the things that go into our subconscious, the things that we shoved down in the first place, they were too painful for our system to handle. And what is handling pain? Like, I think essentially mindfulness is what the answer is to that. It's like the ability to stay in your center regardless of this force, this distraction of pain, right? Like, everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the face. Getting punched in the face is a huge distraction. It's like, try to think clearly about your plan when you're dealing with this distraction. And so pain comes in many forms, right? It doesn't have to be physical. Pain could be the person in the cubicle next to you is a loud breather. They're a mouth breather. And like, that's your pain. I've heard this before. It's hilarious. It's one of the funnier examples of like, okay. My dog barks loudly every time we go outside, and in the little thing of the porch, like, it like hurts my eardrums. Like, that's my pain. Like, can you think clearly? Can you stay centered in your whole self, even in the presence of a powerful distraction, right? Like, pain is a powerful distraction. There are lots of more subtle distractions out there. But like, can you stay in your center? And like, that is what mindfulness is. Mindfulness is the ability to have a lot of stimuli going on, and you still are present inside of who you know yourself to be, your full self, your higher self, your integrated and aligned self. So all of this to say, like, really anything that helps you practice your mindfulness, anything that helps you to stay present in the here and now, no matter what is happening. Like, the next time you stub your toe stubbing has become, obviously I don't like it and I don't look forward to it or anything like that, but it's a very different experience for me now than it was 5 years ago. As far as like, at this point, toe stubbing is one of my favorite things because it sharpens my relationship to pain, and almost always it gives me a greater level of perspective about, like, it it kind of hones my perspective real quick before something comes that like requires a greater level of presence. Because toe stubbing, it's like, yeah, it's an intense pain, but if you will focus, you can exist around the pain. You can be bigger than the pain. You can focus on your breath in and out. You can watch the pain get smaller and smaller and smaller. You can witness the thoughts that like when your body is in pain, when your body is like under attack, right, by the chair that you just stubbed your toe on, witness the defensiveness that will naturally bubble up out of your amygdala. Like you will go on full on attack mode on that chair. Like, don't you come at me. Like it's hilarious like how quickly our defense mechanisms will have our own back. And like that goes full circle with like, again, why do I love that experience so much? It's like you get to witness the ferocity of your ego self. Basically, your ego is the one who believes you should not have to endure pain. And so when you stub your toe, right, there's nobody to blame it on. That's maybe again why it's such a powerful experience. There's no one to divert the blame onto. You have to keep, it's just an accident. You know, like you just weren't paying attention, and you like there was another one the other day where like somebody was like putting laundry away and like doing all the things, and they only had 15 more minutes and they weren't paying attention, and they go to pick something up and just like knock themselves right on the head. She's like, I saw stars. I had to sit down. I like just couldn't, it rung my bell. Like she just like hit her own head on the dresser or whatever it was that she's like bending over next to. And there's nobody else. It's just you. You just caused yourself a big dose of pain. What are you going to do with it? You know, like that to me is such fertile freaking ground as far as practice your relationship with pain. Practice validating your ego that knows for a fact you should not have to feel pain like this. Like your ego will have your own back even if nobody else does. That's the beauty of the ego. It's ride or die. It ain't going nowhere. It's going to stand right there and be like, how dare you make me stub my toe, Mr. Chair? And it's going to fight the enemy like no matter what. Like that I think is like a good, healthy, strong ego, right? Like a weak ego is apologizing to the chair. Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. I didn't see you there. Meanwhile, your toe is like broken and you're like, can't even, see through the pain, but like, oh, I'm sorry, like that, you get to see your ego. You get to see it like face to face. Like, who is it? What is it? What does it say? What does it sound like? What is it willing to fight for? You, hopefully. So yeah, pain, the ego, the unconscious, it's a fascinating dance that's going on inside of us all the time. And truly, we're just trying to become aware of it. Just trying to become aware of like, who is talking right now? Who believes that? Is it 12-year-old me, or is it, leading edge me that has my full self on board? Like, where is this coming from? And just paying attention inside of ourselves. That's why meditation is so powerful. Like, it's not about doing any brilliant thing with your mind and like having some transcendent experience. It's truly just paying attention to yourself like you would somebody that you genuinely care about. Like if you genuinely cared about someone, if you like liked their presence in your life, if they went quiet for a while, if they like were demonstrating some unhealthy behaviors, wouldn't you like reach out to them? Wouldn't you like want to be like, hey, if you need somebody to listen to you, like I'm here, like it's so natural to like reach out to people that I care about. And yet I was not a meditator. And then somebody gave me the insight that like meditation is just spending time with yourself the same way that you would somebody that you genuinely care about. And so do you care about yourself? Then meditation gets easier and easier and easier and easier. And I think truly the reason meditation was so freaking difficult, like damn near impossible for me for such a long time, was because no, I didn't care about myself. Like I was not worthy of my own attention. And so again, all of this connects back to how do we heal subconscious things? We have to make it conscious. We have to make the self conscious, the full self, all the pieces, even the ones that really hurt us going in. even the ones that really hurt us, bringing them back about, even those ones. We have to make the self-conscious. Dear friends, Lisa, if you're watching, say hello down below so that we can all thank you properly for this video, because your questions made it happen. And with that, guys, follow Lisa's example. Like, what questions are just burning a hole in your pocket? Like, please drop them down below. I cannot think of a more abundant way for you to pay me than to share your curiosity with me for the activation potential that it is. I mean, I woke up in the middle of the night thinking about this question. I'm in the shower thinking about this question. I'm driving thinking about this question. Like, it was my friend these last 3 days, and it has shown me more and more and more of myself, including in the video, actually getting to experience emotional release for myself. Like, thank you, Lisa, for your curiosity, for your influence in my life, for your assistance in activating me into even more of who I am meant to be. Thank you so much. There's also a song that I want to leave you with. It's called Attention, I think, by Pentatonics. And basically the gist of it is that I feel expensive when you pay me in attention, when you pay me in listening to what I'm saying, taking it in, and then giving me back your curiosity. Like, what's missing? What is left out? What is the next level? What is, like, your curiosity is like a flashlight to point in a different direction in my consciousness. And I get to see things that I wouldn't have gotten to see if you did not light it up for me. So thank you to anybody who has ever left me a question of any kind, or whoever will. Dude, I appreciate you so much. And anybody who wants to say thank you to Lisa, go ahead. Even if she doesn't comment down below, send it her way energetically. Lisa, we're sending you all the love. All the people sending questions, sending you some love. Those of you who aren't ready yet, sending you some love. Because everybody deserves love. Everyone is worthy of love. Everyone is worthy of belonging. I hope you're giving it to yourself. First and foremost, I hope you belong to yourself. First and foremost, this journey of making the self conscious is truly the journey of coming home inside of ourselves, of creating that sense of belonging between our inner leading edge version and all of the inner children versions that went through the shit that added up into what we even are in our leading edge. You know, it can be tempting to want to be the full finished product and just chop off all that past shit that, like, yeah, I went through a lot. It was hard and I'm here now. Okay, like, let's just focus on the positive. It's like, you know what? Every single day of your life was necessary. Every single experience, every single receipt that you have that backs up some crazy conclusion that now you're having to untangle, you're meant to be right where you are. We are never late. We are never early. We are always right on time. And any contemplation that you are currently facing, I hope you will hold yourself in compassion as you bring more and more and more of yourself into the light of day. May compassion be that foil blanket that they wrap around runners at the end of a race, that, like, anything that is willing to come up and out of your subconscious and show it to you, the first thing you do is wrap it in a warm blanket of compassion and say, thank you. I know that was a long race. I know you've been alone for a long time. And I see the grit and the stamina that you obviously possess to have completed the journey you just did, as in becoming aware is 95% of change. So crossing that finish line of bringing something into your conscious awareness, thank it for what it's done. Because at that point, there's really just harvesting it. There's just the integration piece, and we can totally come back and talk more about that if you'd like. Leave your comments and your questions down below, and I will absolutely keep them in mind for future videos. Dear friends, it has been my literal pleasure to spend this time with you. Thank you for hanging out with me. Until next time, I do hope that you are taking such good care of the precious one that is you, and so will I. For those of you still here, I also just wanted to show you the latest in my fairy fort bedroom makeover project. So if you've noticed, if you've been watching my videos, you probably caught this tree branch that is standing up here. So first, let me show you like how it goes all the way up there. Okay. Yeah, very cool. And then, okay, so this is the other one. Got two so far. Check it out. So that is hanging with little hooks and some fishing line. It's been up there for 2 days now. It hasn't fallen down yet. And I have a bunch more that I will be building out my little fairy fort above my bed. Yeah, because I say, why the heck not? And I gotta say, Jody, my friend who I've mentioned several times, she was on several Heart to Hearts with me last year. You may have seen her on the channel if you've been around for a while. She does drama therapy where like as you bring things up and out of yourself, you like act them out, you dramatize it, you like maybe make some art or you mold it or you act it out or you draw it or something and you express it, you know, kind of like however it's wanting to be expressed at that time. And that got me really thinking, like the goal is that your inner child can communicate like what it is and what it wants. And so as I listened to her talk about that, just in general, it kind of took me into the next level of communing with my own inner child and like, what does it want? What does it want to express? And one of the pieces that came, and this didn't even like fully emerge consciously until later. I'll explain a little bit about what I mean by that, but like what came was when I was little, I dreamed hard of having a canopy bed. I wanted it. I wanted it so much. Like it was so pretty and it was going to be pink and it had frills and it was like all up there and I was going to put lights on the top and like it was just going to be so pretty and nobody ever got me a canopy bed, right? Like it's just, no, that's so frivolous and we don't need that and that's not worth the money and whatever. Like you don't need it. And so did I need it? Technically, no, you know, not like I need oxygen and water and food. Like I get that. As a kid, I was like, okay, you're right. I don't need it. And then as I am drawing my inner child up and out of my subconscious, what do they want? They want a canopy bed. Okay. Like nobody ever gave them one. And now I have my own checkbook and I have my own money. And what I mean by I didn't even connect it until later was okay, I'm going to give you full maybe TMI, but this is zoning authenticity and we just tell the real story here. So like in my bedroom, I started to notice a smell and I had carpet at the time and I'm starting to notice a smell such that it's not nice. It doesn't smell nice in here. When I burn a candle, I can get it to go away for a little bit and then it comes right back and I'm like, I want rid of this carpet. That's really like the first piece that happened was like, I am not going to tolerate this smell anymore. Okay. So I look at Home Depot for like, what's the cheapest laminate flooring you got here? And I found like, I think it was about $300 to buy enough packages of the snap together laminate flooring. And then maybe like another $50, $60 to get the part that you put underneath. So then it was just a matter of like ripping the carpet out and laying down the new floor, which Dolly helped me do. Dolly did almost all of the work. And I got a new floor. And because I got a new floor, that kicked off like I really took everything out of my bedroom. It's a lot more minimal now. And then I was like, you know what? I want a new like bedspread. And like I had this color in my head and I want new sheets. And like it just kind of like snowballed from there until I got to the part of like, okay, so now what? I got the bedspread, I got the sheets, I got the floor. Then I go on Etsy and I'm like, fairy bedroom. And I start looking at all the different pieces and lights and crystals and like all the things that you can get to like make your bedroom like a fairy space. And so yeah, now at this point, fast forward to, I have a picture in my head where these branches are suspended from the ceiling And there's these like curtains like draped all over and through the branches and lights. And I keep seeing like dangling coins. Like, I don't know, like the coin has a hole in the middle of it, and that's how I tied it to the fishing line. And then the fishing line is tied to the branch, and then the coin just sits there and like spins back and forth, like just like rebalances itself. So like there's movement up in the top of the fairy fort, and this is what is above my bed. And you know how I feel about my bed. You know how I feel about radical rest and putting yourself on bed rest. So my bed, I spend a lot of time there. And it makes total sense to me how at this point, like, it's basically inner child therapy to give myself the bedroom of my dreams. So that is why I continue to show you step by step as I get more of my fairy fort brought into the physical. I mean, I can see it fully in my mind. I'm like joking with Dolly. I'm like, can you see it? Can you see it? She's like, no, but I know you can see it enough for both of us, so that's fine. And like, she's helping me build it. So yeah, as we get more farther along on the fairy fort, I'll continue to keep you updated. But I think that's it for now. So yeah, dear friends, take good care. Play with your inner child. What do they want? What kind of fun do they want to have? I feel like they are busting. They're busting at the seams for just even a little bit more of your attention on their sweet little faces. So do that or don't, and I probably will be, because my inner child and she's like my new BFF. So dudes, take care, and I'll see you guys later.